1, 2. All right, good morning. Thank you for joining. My name is Timsit. I'm the head of Cronos Labs, which is the ecosystem entity and startup accelerator behind the Cronos blockchain. The Cronos blockchain is a top 10 chain when measured by total value locked. It's been around for 2 years now, and it's an open source layer 1, which was developed in strong partnership with Crypto.com. So Cronos is a blockchain. It's also a startup accelerator. So we run our own internal accelerator program, which is currently finishing its second cohort and has pushed a lot this year to try and boost AI-based innovation on the chain, in part thanks to partnerships that we've closed with AWS, Google Cloud, and Protocol Labs, who are providing expertise and resources for the startups to explore AI use cases. So today, I'm not here to talk about Cronos so much. I'm here more to share learnings from the last 6 months, where we've received close to 400 startup applications as part of the accelerator. And through those applications and through the pitch presentations from the startups, we've sort of tried to understand what's the state of innovation at the intersection of blockchain and AI, what are the relevant use cases, what is ready, not ready. And so I'm going to share a perspective with you. And I'm also keen to get your feedback if you have other thoughts. So first of all, when we think about what AI is bringing to blockchain or vice versa, it's important to realize that this year we're seeing a revolution in AI, of course. That revolution doesn't impact all areas of AI in the same way. It's really a revolution that comes from the invention of the transformers architecture, which has enabled the creation of large language models and text-to-image or text-to-video models. By contrast, AI has been in our lives for a while when it comes to spam detection, recommendation algorithms, trading bots. And so the change that we're seeing this year is really specific to the introduction of large language models as we see it. So, of course, AI can be used for algorithmic trading, but no breakthrough has happened this year in that particular area. And then there are also lots of problems that AI hasn't solved yet and is still working on, like how robots interact with the real world, how you put GPUs in secure enclaves, and those are clearly problems that are not solved at the moment. So when it comes to the impact that this AI revolution is having on blockchain and vice versa, the way that we've clustered the ideas from startups is around 3 buckets of innovation. The first one is, so we call it 10 times better productivity and user experience. And our thesis right now, and I'm going to elaborate on that, is that this first bucket is really where most of the value lies right now if you're a blockchain builder. So if you're working on a startup or thinking about a startup, using AI to improve the productivity and user experience, even though it sounds a bit generic and practical, that's where we see most of the value. Second bucket of innovation is everything around identity, provenance, proof of humanity. We're going to discuss it. It's not yet clear. I mean, there's clearly a huge area of innovation for AI around identity and agents. It's not clear that blockchain really has any contribution to bring to that bucket of innovation. And number 3 is using blockchain to power the AI economy. There are some very interesting projects in that area. Some of them are likely to materialize in the coming months, but most of them are more like 5 years, on a 5-year horizon. So we'll talk about that a little bit and talk about where you can build if you're interested in that innovation bucket. So first of all, let's talk about productivity and user experience. So the promise of blockchain from the start was we're going to reinvent the financial system, we're going to streamline it without intermediaries, and we are going to make it much more productive, therefore passing the cost savings to end users. The reality is that if you measure the productivity of crypto and DeFi, and you measure it by looking at millions of dollars managed per employee in those startups, it's a mixed bag. On this page, what you have are millions of dollars managed per employee in various startups and companies. So you can see that overall, DeFi and crypto startups are more productive than Bank of America or JP Morgan. So Bank of America and JP Morgan are on the right-hand side, they're between 20 and 40, according to that metric. And then crypto and DeFi protocols are somewhere between, let's say, 50 and 400. However, you can also see that, first of all, if you look at Binance, Binance is at the far right. So once you're, even if you're in crypto, once you start getting hit by regulation and you have to adapt to all kinds of local markets, then your productivity drops quite a bit. And then on the other hand, when you look at BlackRock, an asset manager, you can see that they are way more productive than any crypto startup, even though they are clearly TradFi, and that's the same for hedge funds. Crypto aims to be more productive than TradFi. So far, the outcomes are pretty good, but they could be improved. And in particular, they absolutely need to be improved if you take into account the fact that DeFi protocols are going to need to localize to various languages, are going to be hit by regulation, et cetera, et cetera. So there is a strategic imperative, if you're in DeFi or crypto, to improve your productivity, and AI can help you with that. So at the very basic level, I think if you're a blockchain startup right now and you're not using AI for marketing or AI for code development and code security, you're probably building on the wrong foundations. The corollary of that is also, if you're thinking about building tools for blockchain developers, you have to incorporate products that make it easy for your users, so for those blockchain developers, to take advantage of AI features. So in marketing, everyone knows the tools that you can use that are coming from AI products. I think it's interesting to see how Binance used their project called Picasso, which is just enabling their users to create generative art or generative AI, not art, for free. So PFP is for free. It's pretty dumb, right? It's just a use of an existing technology, but clearly it struck the imagination of users, and as a marketing tool was something that was very powerful. And then, of course, in terms of code development and testing, OpenZeppelin is doing some interesting work around code security using AI tools. And then there's this project called ChatGPT, which aims to enable developers to generate Solidity code from text. There are other tools as well. I think that's pretty interesting. Of course, human oversight is required, but you should definitely look at that or build upon those tools. And then the other area where you can use AI to improve your productivity and the user experience is, of course, everything around the interface with users. So Crypto.com launched Amy, which is their AI-enabled bot. So primarily, right now, it's a bot that's used to answer general knowledge questions about crypto and to help with product navigation. There's a project called Omni by MarginFi, which is a text box. So it replaces the usual extremely dense interface of DeFi protocols. And in that interface, you can ask for the bot to find yield farming opportunities for you, and it will find it for you. It's again just a more pleasant and simple interface for you to deal with the DeFi protocol. What I think is interesting as well with those chatbots is that they provide kind of social, human comfort. They provide social proof. which we know is extremely important in the minds of crypto users. If you look at how the extent to which they're always listening to influencers or what's happening on crypto Twitter to help with their investment decisions. So in our accelerator, there are also some interesting experiments happening. So there's this project called Solas. It's an account abstraction, a wallet for account abstraction. They are using AI to generate human-readable explanations of the transactions and human-readable notifications. There's a project called Earn in our accelerator. They are using AI to create risk scoring using on-chain data in order to attribute a risk score to borrowers on a lending and borrowing protocol. And then there's another project called Dimi, which is a social platform using Cronos as well and blockchain, and they're using AI to enable autocomplete for users. So it's just a way to make the user experience more fluid. Again, I think if you look at those use cases, it's really using AI technology that's really already around and incorporated into crypto. So it can sound not breakthrough, but from what we've seen, that's really where a lot of the value is. And also, like I said before, there's a strategic imperative to do it. Otherwise, you won't deliver DeFi, which is more productive than TradFi. Second bucket of innovation. So we call it provenance and digital identity. And I think this bucket usually starts with the realization that the notions of truth and the notions of identity are changing. On one hand, when you look at the blockchain space, so you have account abstraction, which is changing the notion of wallet. You have lots of incentives for inauthentic account to create activity on-chain. A speaker earlier this morning talked about how most of the activity on new layer 2s is driven by airdrops, and most of those wallets taking advantage of airdrops are bots. So of course, our space right now is swamped, is flooded by robot wallets. And at the same time, there's also a very interesting trend, which I think is that you're seeing lots of platforms being developed that help understand who the wallets are, create CRM tools, etc. So the notion of identity, which used to be completely like anonymous human users, is changing in blockchain. And at the same time, of course, AI is changing the notion of identity as well. First of all, because it's much easier to create human-looking or robot agents that pretend to be humans. But also, of course, AI is used a lot for any kind of KYC or identity verification. Look at Onfido, for example, which has been using those technologies for a while to help a lot of IGOs or ICO projects verify the identity of investors. So those trends are happening and are changing the notion of truth and identity. And the undercurrent of that is also, of course, that people know that LLMs tend to hallucinate. And so there's this dream that if you can use blockchain to track the provenance of what LLM is telling you, you can maybe prevent or combat hallucinations, or make sure that if you know what the training data is when you're looking at the output of a generated image or video, for example. However, I think the problems are, the trends and problems are well identified. The question is more like, is there a solution to those problems, and can blockchain really help? And here, our view so far, based on startup applications, is that it's a mixed bag. It's not clear that blockchain is going to contribute a lot. So there's a bullish case, which is to say AI is going to increase the demand for agent and agent identification, as well as proof of provenance. This is going to generate huge demand for decentralized identity and verified credentials. And finally, all those identity and credentials protocol, which are decentralized and were until now kind of searching for a use case, will have found product market fit and are going to explode. So that's the bullish case. The bearish case is that every time that the blockchain community has tried to work on supply chain, provenance, proof of authenticity, it's been a huge disappointment because no one who generates credentials has economic interest in putting those credentials on chain. And so in the end, it's always centralized entities who control and distribute those credentials, which is why we still have social login on Twitter and Facebook as a means of mainstream adoption. So no clear, no strong conviction in that area. We're, of course, really eager to see how more R&D can generate valuable solutions for the ecosystem. Let me just check the time. We're good. OK, and finally, we have a third bucket of innovation. How does blockchain enable the AI economy? And so here, when you're looking at the press, oftentimes the thesis is that there's a shortage of GPUs. There's a shortage of high-end computers and server farms that can run AI models. Therefore, blockchain is the solution. It can provide developers of AI models with a wide installed base of decentralized computers from gamers and other people around the world who have unused compute capacity and can put that capacity at work to train AI models. So that's the thesis that you read. The reality that we need to be aware of is that so far the AI economy is not doing too badly without blockchain. And so when we think about those problems, we really need to put ourselves in the shoes of developers of AI models and truly understand what their unmet needs are. So far, when it comes to creating AI models or fine-tuning them in a decentralized way, Hugging Face, which is a very Web2 platform, has performed spectacularly and provides by far the best experience and the most powerful contribution to the community in terms of freeing us up from the influence of Facebook and Twitter. And of course, also when it comes to renting GPUs on demand to run your models, there's Colab for small developers, there's RunPod and Vast.ai, all kinds of tools that are already providing access to those distributed resources without necessarily being decentralized. And they work quite well. So therefore, we have to ask ourselves really, what does blockchain bring to the picture and how it can make a difference? The first very important way that I think blockchain is going to make a difference is by combating censorship, so by censorship resistance. What we're already seeing today is that there's a phenomenon that we call regulatory capture, where the top companies in AI are going around the world, meeting with heads of state, so it's Biden on the left-hand side, and telling them, well, AI is way too dangerous, you have to leave it to us to create regulations and make sure that those models stay in the right hands. We can have debates as to whether the risk is real or not, but regardless, I think the implication of that is that when you look at the European Parliament, French authorities, American authorities, they are meeting with Elon Musk, who's telling them it's too dangerous, you can't leave it run free. And you have to let us do the work. So this is going to lead to what we call regulatory capture, whereby those big tech companies are going to lobby governments to say, if you want to create and commercialize an AI model, you have to submit 500 pages of documentation, register, be approved by some kind of agency, which is going to take 2 years. And of course, this is going to restrict the ability of random developers or 18-year-old machine learning scientists to contribute to the innovation. And also, what is contributing to regulatory capture is that there is a huge uncertainty around the legal implications of AI, particularly around IP management, intellectual property management. And so, increasingly, when you launch a product, you run the risk of having a $100 million suit. So, of course, blockchain is well suited for that. I mean, I'm not saying that blockchain is well suited to do to do unlawful things at all. But I think blockchain is well suited to encourage and enable innovations in situations where there is a lack of regulatory clarity, or the regulations or laws are not adapted for the fruitful development of open source innovation. And so I think it is in that context, in particular, that blockchain can bring some contribution. Also, one thing that blockchain does well, or crypto does well, is orchestrating commerce, automating commerce. And so when it comes to monetizing all kinds of models and services in a global way across, for machine learning scientists who are living in Indonesia to sell their stuff to people in Mexico, I think it's just more convenient to use crypto initially for payments once until you are big enough to start using credit cards and other means of payment. So overall, what we're seeing is a very interesting field of innovation, which also comes with some strong technical challenges, right? So right now, when people say that they can create decentralized GPU networks, the reality is that no one really knows how to run decentralized GPU networks efficiently to train a model, and also no one knows how to put a GPU in a secure enclave in such way that you can distribute your model without, while at the same time making sure that no one has access to it and can steal your secrets or industrial secrets or competitive advantage. So it's still very, there's still a lot of R&D around how you build a decentralized network to power the AI economy. But when you look at the right-hand side of this slide, where we're less talking about heavy-duty server farms, but we're more talking about commercialization, distribution, and monetization, I think that there are some very interesting examples. So Fetch AI, which is using crypto to enable AI agents to pay each other for services. There's this project which we have in our accelerator, Corgi AI, which aims to create a marketplace for prompt engineers. So, people around the world who are able to create prompts or who are able to fine-tune models. And the idea here is simply to use crypto to commercialize and distribute those services around the world in a very easy and light way. And then there are also some projects which are at the still on the right-hand side, but at the bottom, who are simply trying to incorporate the ability for smart contracts to run very simple AI models. So that's what people call about ZK sometimes. So the idea here is just simply to find solutions where the smart contracts can make use of AI models that are sitting off-chain in a simple and effective way. And then at the left-hand side of this slide, you have more like projects that are, of course, very visible in the news, that talk much more about the use of decentralized server farms to train models and the ability, making decentralized compute readily available to machine learning scientists. But our view right now is that the technology to support those use cases is not really ready. However, those are very interesting and fruitful areas for R&D. Oops. Okay, so we're done. In summary, if you're a builder, first of all, you should look at how you make use of AI to improve your productivity and the user experience. Or you can also build tools for developers and for ecosystems so that they can make use of AI easily. And there's a huge amount of value to be created there. Secondly, when it comes to identity and provenance, there's a huge need to support emerging trends and problems, but it's not clear how blockchain can help. And number three, when it comes to powering the AI economy, there is also huge potential, which is driven either by the risk of regulatory capture or by the need to, by using AI, blockchain to create commercial models for AI models. Thank you. So I think we have time for 2 questions.
Questions?
As a startup founder, actually looking at the interchange of blockchain and AI, we want to make it easy to apply to jobs. And we're looking to verify jobs on the chain, but make it basically machine readable to do the matching between company, what they need, and a professional, what they offer. And that falls in the bucket in the middle. Do you see that possible in the next future, or shall we just focus on one side and then implement the other at a later stage?
Of course, I would. It would be irresponsible of me to comment on your project from a 10-second introduction. What I'm doing here is I'm sharing some experiences from a few hundred applications that we've received. I think the idea of using blockchain to prove that CVs are correct, or work experiences are correct, or referrals are correct, that idea has been around for a while. So it's very important just to even before AI. So it's very important to understand what those why those other projects have failed, and then come up with ways that you can create product market fit that overcomes those challenges. But I don't have all the answers. Another question?
Yeah. Instead of what blockchain brings to AI, what do we have going on with what AI brings to blockchain in terms of like agency, like the A and the DAO being AI? What's the current trend in that regard?
I don't fully understand the question. Maybe you want to give an example, or
yeah, Arbitrum might be a good example, like where the governance was completely ignored. But if there was an autonomous agent that enacted the will of the DAO, then you might actually have a decentralized autonomous organization.
Yeah, so I think that, again, we're at a period where in 2023, what has really changed from a technology standpoint is the introduction of large language models underpinned by the Transformers architecture. To the extent that you're considering a breakthrough that wasn't possible before LLMs and is possible now with LLMs, I think that's hugely valuable. And in particular, when it comes to governance, I think we all know that most people don't read governance proposals. Most people don't understand governance proposals, don't know what they should be paying attention to. And the rate of participation on blockchain governance is single-digit %. So I think anything that uses LLMs to distill for end users what they should be paying attention to and understand the pros and cons of a governance proposal, I think that's hugely valuable.
Merci Ken.
Merci.